What's up, Pickle Peeps? Okay. Um, have you ever wished for a simpler, easier, better workflow for your product photos? Um, I know I personally have had the issues where it's like, oh my God, photos are the Betamax. I don't know what's worse, writing descriptions or doing product photos. And then editing the photos and getting the colors balanced and making sure the background is white. Why does it have to be white? Why are these things so difficult? It's like the world's against you as a one-person shop, as a handmade designer. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that hard. In fact, today I'm going to give you my double whammy two-step formula for doing amazing product photos right in Canva. Easy peasy every time. And I'll let you know a little trick. Your photos don't, oh, it's so bad to say, your photos don't even have to be the best photos. The better photo that you have to work with to start with, the better your result is going to be, but you can make this work with slightly above mediocre photos too. So let's get to it. And for those new to the channel, first off, I am Melissa Pickle. Welcome to the Handmade How, home of the Pickle Peeps, where we focus on the how of handmade marketing so you can focus on getting those profits. All right, let's get to it here. Here we are in Canva. Now, note, this will require a Canva Pro account. So you can't do this two-step that I'm going to teach you today on a Canva free membership. But this right here, this one trick that we're going to go over is worth it a million times over the price of Canva for the year. And I know I just renewed my Canva and it was like $99 for the year. So still, that is money that I am happy to spend. All right, so here we are in a Canva field. I just pulled up an Instagram post. It doesn't really matter what you use to start with. And I'm going to grab my product photos. So you can see here, these were done very, very quickly. It is a pretty bad product photo. I'll be honest. To me, this is bad. If I'm going live in a collection, if they're photos that I'm going to be using a lot, I typically like to go through Snapseed first and kind of I'll get my contrast. I'll at least get my product where I want it to be. I try to reduce and get a better white background on here, but this is the picture that my phone decided to take. I wasn't super happy with it, but we're going to make it work and we're going to turn it absolutely amazing. So here is our original, and I'm just going to leave it right here on this so you guys can see what it looks like. Well, we'll leave it down there. That's the original. This one, we're going to start with our two-step. Now, our two-step whammy here for product photos is 1, erase background, 2, add shadow, right? 1, erase background, 2, add shadow. So let's do it. Remember, this has to be Canva Pro. So you're going to click on your photo that you have in here, and you're going to come up to the Edit Image tab. And then you're going to go to background remover. Now, if you don't have background remover, is up at the top for me because I use it all the time, like every single day. If you do not see it, it's probably going to be just scroll down in here and it'll be down with the you may also like. That's all of the additional ones. You should have background remover. You should have shadows. Another one that I use all the time is smart mockups. So you have lots of great things down here. And that should be where you'll find background remover. So I'm going to go ahead and hit background remover. And like, I was so doubtful when Canva came out with background remover. I was like, how in the world is it going to know? How is it really going to know the edges? How is it really going to know what to do? But it's very, very good. I mean, look at this. I'm dealing with jewelry here, and it's even pulled out some of the empty spaces within the details of my necklace. Do you know how long that takes me to do in Photoshop? Or it used to before I learned this. Now I don't go near Photoshop if I can help it. So there we go. That looks pretty damn amazing to me. I'm going to hit apply. Now, note, for any of the stuff we do here, watch the little cloud thing because I like to go really fast if I can, but you need to wait until you have that check mark in there before moving to the next effect. Otherwise, your picture is going to stretch weird. It's going to be wonky. It's going to be bad. You're going to delete everything and go back to the beginning. All right, so just be patient and wait for the check mark. So here we go. You can see this on here. It did a fantastic job of cutting out the background. I'm going to click out of it so you can see it just floating right there on the page. And it did a great job of cutting off the background, but now my product looks flat. Now there are a lot of sellers, there are a lot of people who just take it this step. and they just do this one. And even if you have an amazing photo to start with, like this is not, this is the lower end of mediocre photo, I'm going to say. But even if you started with a great photo and just did background remover, it's not going to look right to the human eye. It's going to look fake, and worse, you're going to look a little bit like a scammer, like you stole someone else's photos. We don't want to do that. We want this to be beautiful, and we want to capture our customers' attention, be like, wow, I want that piece, not something is not right. So when you look at this just by itself, your brain is going to trigger, like, something is not quite right. And that is because it has no depth. So step 1 was background remover. Step 2 we're going to initiate now is adding in a shadow. When we erased the background, we also erased any natural shadow that the piece cast on its background. So this is where things now get fun. We are going to we're going to select our photo. We're going to go back into edit image, and now you're going to pull up shadows. Again, if you don't have it up top, just scroll up and down. You're going to find it, or you can even search the effects. Look at this. You can search the effect. Just search shadows, okay? So we're going to go into shadows, and you have all of these great options. Now, if you want to do outlines like you always see on my YouTube thumbnails and stuff, you would use a glow shadow. But what we're going to do right here today is a drop shadow, all right? All of these other ones, they all have their purposes, but when you're looking at doing your product photography, you want to always use a drop shadow. So we're going to click that one. And that's just what it will do on automatic. And we're going to go in and we're going to find polish the shadow up here. All right, so we're going to click on this again. You can see it's got the hamburger dials in there. We're going to click on drop shadow again. I'm going to go through all the settings with you here, and then I'll show you how I like to do it. So first thing is you get to control where the shadow is. So right now you can see here it's on bottom right. We can do shadow going to the top, shadow going to top right. It's just going to do it all the way around the piece, wherever you want your shadow to be. Why would you want to have better control over this? Like, I think it looks pretty good on the left, bottom left right there. Because if there is a direct light source shining on your product, you want your shadow to be behind that light source. What do I have here? I have a sticky note pad. So if my light is shining on the sticky notes, the shadow it casts is going to be behind the sticky notes, not alongside the sticky notes, definitely not in front of the sticky notes when my light is coming from the front. If my light is coming from the side, my shadow is going to cast on this side. So always be thinking in the opposites, or like I kind of picture it from the light drawing a line through. So this doesn't have to, I actually have even box lights on either side when I take these photos. I just need to like behind it to hold everything in and bounce it back. So for me, it doesn't matter as much, but I do tend to like the bottom right for me. Okay, so boom, there's that. Next option is offset. This is where things can get a little fun. So it's automatically set at 2 for its defaults. This is going to determine how far off the page, okay? Think of it as how far off the page, how far in front of your backdrop do you want your product to be? So if I did like a mega offset like this, and then say I did like top, now it's like light casting up from the bottom. Or if we did bottom, now it's light cast from the top shining down. You can do really cool effects with this kind of playing with offsets and shadows. I'm going to go back to my bottom right. And you can do a 0 offset. It's just going to put like a glow around it. It's not really any good. A 1 offset is a very, very light shadow on there. Its default, if we said, is the 2 offset. So I tend to go for 1 or 2 in here. Your angle is if you wanted to twist your shadow. So I'll show you guys this one right here. I don't tend to do this too much. To me, this is very like, you can get some trippy psychedelic looks going here, or you can have very, I think it'd be a lot of fun to do effects like this with like Halloween stuff. So you can go 0 is going to be neutral, negative is going to be tilted angle to the left, and the other one is the angle to the right. So it's just things that are a little bit strange on there. Big ones that I look at here are transparency and blur. So transparency is going to be how dark your shadow is. So if you do a full transparency on here, you can see that's a full-on black shadow. If I take my transparency all the way to white, we have no shadow, to 0. So they tend to do it at 50 for their default. I like to take my shadow. I like a little gentler shadow, so I might do like a 40 or a 38, something like that. I just want it, the half is just a little too intense for me. And then we're going to have blur. And blur is the difference between hard light and soft light in your photos. So, and this depends on how you took your photo too, and what kind of aesthetic you're going for. So if I zoom in on our photo here, you can see that our blur is very low at 5, and that means that all of our edges pretty much are pretty clear. If I take blur down to 0, boom, we basically just have a copy thing. It looks kind of cool if that's what you're going for. If we take blur all the way up, this would be exceptionally soft light, and it's just kind of a gentle haze behind our product. That's a little too much for me. Let me zoom out a little bit, get some perspective on here. I do like looking at my things from a distance. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Saving, it saved it. Okay, is that doable? That's absolutely doable. That would absolutely work, but I am gonna, see what I mean? It gets wonky if you do things before saving. Is checked. Okay, so now we're back. All right, let me go back in there and add that shadow again. Click it again. I'm going to take my transparency down to, like about a 40. And I'm going to put my blur not at 5. That's still a little bit harsh for me. I want a gentler, softer shadow. But I don't want it to just be the general haze that we had all the way up at the top. So I might take it... For me, I'm liking it right around a 10 here. You still have a slightly defined edge, but it's very soft and gentle on there, but it does serve the purpose of it lifts the piece off the page. Our piece now has physical, or our product now has physical weight and dimension to it. Last thing I want to say is you can change the color of your shadow if you don't want it black. If you want a purple shadow because you're being funky in your marketing, go for it. I'm staying with a regular black shadow on here. I'm going to hit apply, and because this is just intending to be a straight product photo right here. All right, you can see it has save and pause. We have that exclamation point in there. We're going to wait until that has a check mark on it before we touch our product again. There we go. We got our check mark, and boom. So I'm going to make it bigger now. It's going to resize everything when you're doing the shadows and all that stuff and whatnot. So I just wait until the end to resize my photo. So here we have this. That's looking way, way, way better than this, right? I think we can all agree this is a much better product photo now than this. And you can see what it started out as. So that is my 1-2 whammy for doing quick product photo editing. And like you can see, remove background, add shadow. And once you know your shadow setting and what you like you're literally just going to be clicking in. It's like type or adjust, save, adjust, save, adjust, save. Makes it so much easier. Now I am going to show you a third bonus one on here for this, just because this photo really needs it. These are the kind of things that I would personally usually do in something like Snapseed, because I like that for doing my photo editing on my phone before it ever gets to the computer. But I want to look at here, and I want to do some manual adjustments because this is kind of dark and dingy. And I might look at increasing my brightness a little bit. Now this piece is silver, so if I increase that, but it's got an emerald in it. If I increase saturation, it's going to turn all of my silver very brassy and yellow, so I don't like to do that. In fact, when I'm in Snapseed, I will actually remove saturation from my silver spots, especially if there was any kind of color cast from what I was wearing or light bouncing around in the room when I was taking the pictures. And I'll increase saturation on my crystals because it's such a pain in the ass, especially with dark crystals. This is a emerald or emerald tone, and it just does not photograph well. But a trick for you if you're in here, or whatever system you would use to do your photos, if you deal a lot with crystals, and especially with dark crystals, and you just notice that they are losing their vibrancy in whatever you're doing, you can increase saturation. That will always make a more vibrant crystal. Or, let me move me here. The other thing that we can do is increase our shadows. So remember, we added a shadow on here, so I'm not going to worry as much about taking shadow out from my main product because we put one in. Now, the more shadow, or the higher you go positive on shadows, it's going to remove shadow. It's going to cast more light, so you're going to lose that moody definition in there. And if you had a lot of lines that were reliant on shadows, your piece might look blurrier. In this case, it didn't do too much bad in here. I actually quite like what it did. So if we went back to like lower, you can see everything is very defined. It's dark and moody in there. And I especially want you to watch the crystal, but if I come up all the way, that's a little unrealistic, but we can at least tell there's a little bit of green in there. I'm going to put that more like in the 60s. Okay. Am I happy with this color here? No, but I would have edited that already. But everything else about this necklace is now ready to go. And in fact, like, this is got a little bit of a yellow cast to my eye. But otherwise, fantastic. We can take highlights if you want to put stuff back in. Like, you can play with highlights. That just made my silvers like ridiculous. Vibrance, clarity, warmth is going to make it more orange or more blue toned for your whole thing. So if you took your pictures and they have a blue cast to them, you can increase warmth to get them back to a standard, or back to like a neutral. But there we go. We are pretty much set on this one. So I'm still going to say this all over. I will take this photo any day over that photo, right? And really, all we did was just 2 quick edits on here. We did the background remover. We added the shadows. So Pikul Peep, go forth. Do not be afraid. I encourage you, never be afraid of product photography again, because you know that even with a mediocre photo, you can still produce something like this, and that is going to be attention grabbing on its own. All right, that is it for this one, Pikul Peep. I hope this helped. I hope you love my photo editing double whammy right here. Let me know if you have more photo editing questions or Canva questions. We're looking to do a whole series on Canva here for you. And that's about it. Everyone have an epic day to match your epic business that you're building. Oh, and if you really enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to give this video a like. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, I'm Melissa Pikul.